All right, y'all. Give me a second. We're doing something new here. We're doing something new. Okay, that looks better. What the? Okay, if I don't like this, y'all, we're gonna do it the basic way. We're gonna do it the basic way if I don't like it. Give me a second. Oh, wait, hold up. Forgot to put these in. That makes much more sense. Hold up, y'all, for just 1 second as I'm going to edit a couple of things. Start dropping some questions here that you guys have. We'll answer. Obviously, a lot of stuff didn't necessarily go as planned. This was supposed to be a lot earlier, but we're having some technical difficulties. So I do got some food here too. So it's going to be a little bit of a mukbang. It's going to be a fun time. So let me just edit the title and everything because that is not right. New England Patriots. All right. That should be good. Let me upload the thumbnail for this because I took some time to actually make my own thumbnail for this live. And I like the thumbnail. I like the thumbnail. So I do wanna keep it. And then hopefully the title and everything is now there. I'm not going live straight from YouTube. I'm actually using something else, which is why things are a little bit different than I think we're all used to. But nonetheless, we are still live. We are still talking New England Patriots. First off, I do actually want to ask you guys, and I want you guys to drop these comments right now in the comment section. I want to know what your guys' current thoughts are on today's Pro Bowl, or not Pro Bowls, but Pro Days. I think we saw today Justin Fields and we saw Mac Jones. I feel like I saw Mac Jones earlier. So when I saw he had his pro day today, I was like, wait, really? But I want to know what you guys' thoughts were on those pro days. I'll put some of the comments up here that we talk about. But yeah, I want to know what you guys are thinking. All right. And it looks like we did get our first donation here. So let me make sure I get this name right. Lockup Hosier, I believe that's how you say it. If I know my words right, which sometimes I don't. But you said Justin Fields looked great today. I trust him more than Mac Jones. I just do. Honestly, I understand where you're coming from, and I would actually draft Justin Fields over Mac Jones. That's my own personal kind of preference. I love Mac Jones, but we've kind of been going out through the draft, through these mock drafts, thinking that the Patriots aren't going to get Justin Fields. There's just really no way. So it hasn't necessarily been something that we've thought about, right? But now it is something that we're sort of thinking about. And if the Patriots got to a point where they could get Justin Fields, I would 100% take him no matter who else is there on the board. Unless, Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson was there, which isn't going to happen. The only problem, though, is that it doesn't look like, especially after how Justin Fields performed today, that the Patriots are going to be able to select him. The 49ers kind of beat them. They traded up to number 3. It looks like 3 quarterbacks are easily going to go, possibly even 4 quarterbacks within the first 4 picks. It looks like it's going to be Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and then Justin Fields to the 49ers. So if the Patriots do want their quarterback, they should trade up to 4 or 5. My personal preference is 4, just because, look, if somebody jumps you at 4 because you have the 5th pick, then you only have your option of one of the top 5 quarterbacks. So if the Patriots do want to have an option between Mac Jones or Trey Lance, they're going to probably have to pick up that number 4 overall from the Falcons. But I do want to thank you for that donation, man. It really does mean a lot. Thank you for being here. And I really like your kind of thought process, and I like to hear where you guys are at with what you thought of the pro day and these draftable quarterbacks. So I do 100% agree with you, though. Justin Fields looked great today. One thing I will say, though, about Justin Fields is that while he did look great, the big concern that people have with him is how he is under pressure when he's getting blitzed. And obviously today, no pads, no helmet. He was just kind of throwing the ball freely, no pressure. So, while he did look great today, the big questions are going to be for him under pressure when he's getting blitzed, which didn't have anything to do with today's pro day. Justin Fields is going to be our quarterback unless the 49ers have a different route, surprisingly, that they want to go and they want to take a Mac Jones or a Trey Lance, then possibly. But again, after today, I just don't see that happening. A lot of Justin Fields. Now, Lauren is giving some Mac Jones love here. I don't know what happened. I don't know what kind of happened as of late. I mean, it's either with Pats Nation, you love Mac Jones, or dear God, you hate Mac Jones. There's no in between. There's really no in between. You love or you hate the guy, which it kind of sucks, just because I think that it's understandable to be in the middle about him. But if you hate him, it's like, it's like, why? There's a lot of great things to like about him. And if you love him, just know that there is some concerns. I also do love Mac Jones. And I think that he would be a good fit with the team. I think that at today's pro day for him, he got a lot of hate from Pats Nation. And I saw people posting about it, like Belichick's look after he threw or overthrew a deep pass on one of his wide receivers. And Belichick was with McDaniels and just kind of was like shaking his head. You never know. People could be looking into that, and it might not have had anything to do with the throw or him for that matter. So I wouldn't look into that too much. But of course, obviously, Belichick doesn't love those types of plays. But Mac Jones is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in this class. I would say he's more accurate than Trey Lance. Trey Lance has had issues with accuracy. So just because he overthrew a receiver on a deep ball one time, don't take that away from everything else that he has done. In the Senior Bowl, at how he has done in his pro day in college. Like, don't take that away because he overthrew one guy. He still is one of the best accuracy quarterbacks in this entire draft. It does look like we got another donation. My boy Neil Ray, y'all. Neil Ray, my boy, showing out. Neil Ray, a longtime supporter, also a Patreon. You know, we are still open to Patreon here. I am going to be posting some exclusive videos soon on YouTube for Patreon members. We kind of had to take a step back there for a second because so much was happening with Patriots and free agency that Belichick wasn't giving me time to do much of anything other than post on YouTube and get those YouTube videos out for you guys. But Neil Ray, man, you are always someone who is in the Discord. Again, if you do become a Patreon member, you join a Discord with me and other Patreon members. And man, Neil, I think you can agree we have been having some really spectacular conversations the last few weeks. That Discord chat has been extremely fun. But let's get into what you said. You said, "What's up, PG? It's been a while." Yeah, man, it's been a while since we've gone live, but you know, we have still been able to chat in Discord. You said, "How am I holding up?" I think Bill Belichick will either get Mac Jones if he falls or get Horn, the cornerback, offensive line, or edge in the first round. Second round, get a wide receiver or corner or quarterback. Third, gets edge or offensive tackle or quarterback. Shout out to all in the chat. So Neil Ray's even giving you guys some love. That's where it's at. Pats Nation is spreading some love here. I'm doing good, my guy. I hope you're doing good also. You know, always love to see you in the chats, man. Long-time supporter. Always love seeing the familiar faces. You said you think Belichick will get Mac Jones if he falls or Horn. I've seen Horn somewhere between the second to third corner going off. So there's a chance he'd be there at 15. Mac Jones, I don't know if he'd be there at 15. Right now, I'm going to say he's not there at 15. But I really, really see the Patriots trading up in this draft. If they don't, I'd be a little surprised, actually. They have 10 draft picks. They only have 10 or maybe even less at this point, but I do believe it's 10 current roster spots. They're not going to bring on 10 rookies. They're going to be trading up in the draft. They have to compile some of these draft picks. So that's something that I see Belichick doing. And a great way of doing that is to trade up. You know, get your quarterback of the future, trade up, compress some of those draft picks that you currently have, compress them and get some draft picks for 2020, right? But I believe Belichick will trade up in the draft. He seems to really like these quarterbacks. And I mean, honestly, I'd be disappointed if we don't get one of the top 5 quarterbacks. I mean, look, if you don't see your guy, you don't see your guy. I understand it. But we need to get the next quarterback in the system. Cam Newton's not the future. He's only signed to a 1-year deal yet again. The Patriots need to figure out some consistency at the quarterback position. So, you know, really hoping they get one of these top 5 guys and it really pans out for them, knock on wood. But I do like Horn, and I do like the thought of going after a quarterback or cornerback in this draft. I like Horn. I like, freaking name is escaping me right now. There's a few corners that I like in my mock draft that I've gone back and forth with. I will be dropping shortly. I have them selecting a corner in the second round. I know some people won't like that because of the recent history, but I do have them selecting a corner in the second round. If, you know, one of these guys, one of the top 3 corners maybe does drop to them, maybe that's a question mark they have, but I do believe that Belichick wants to go ahead and grab one of these quarterbacks. But, you know, maybe if he doesn't select a quarterback, he does decide to go corner if one of those top guys is still on the list there for him. You know, offensive line, like you said, is definitely never out of the question. It's never out of the question. There are some guys that I really like. I like Christian Darrisaw a lot. I know Belichick likes him and the Patriots coaching staff. Maybe he's a guy, if he drops to 15, that they select. Offensive line, definitely not out of the question there. But I do have them selecting multiple offensive linemen in this draft, of course. And I'm very confident that even in the mid to late rounds, they can get some studs here. Second round, you say get a wide receiver or corner. Like I said, I do have a corner in the second round. I'm kind of waiting to the third, fourth round to select a receiver if they do, just because it's such a loaded wide receiver draft. You don't need to select a guy in the first or second to get very nice quality out of them. And again, a guy that they draft at the wide receiver position isn't going to step in, be this big game changer unless maybe it's a Waddle or whatever. And they're not going to plug them in necessarily day one just because they have so much not so much depth, but they have guys already ahead of them. But thanks for the donation again, my guy. Really, really appreciate that. Okay. Got you. Lock up said it is pronounced like who's your. Got you. Lock up who's your. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right, I appreciate that. I appreciate you for kind of spelling that out for me. You said appreciate all the content. My man, it's my pleasure. You said just hope we stay away from Jimmy G. Great player, too fragile. Think we trade up. I could not agree more with you. I love Jimmy G as a person. I love Jimmy G, what he's brought to New England in the past. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for him. And it sinks that he had to go. But in the end, I wouldn't do anything different. The Super Bowl is having Tom Brady. I wouldn't do anything any different. Like you said, he's way too fragile. He plays an average of about 6 games a season. He can't really get past that 6-game mark, except for that one season in 2019 that he played a full season and went to the Super Bowl. I think if he is a healthy quarterback, that he's a good quarterback that can be more than average, an above average quarterback in this league, but he can't stay healthy. And he's proven that. I'm not trading him. I'm not taking on that contract. If he gets released and they can kind of bring him in on a low contract, maybe see what he has, then okay. But again, not someone I'm making the starter, not trading anything for, not bringing on that contract. So I agree with you. And I do agree that them trading up is a very, very big possibility. And I think, look, if you want to get one of these top quarterbacks, you're going to have to trade up, especially with 3 quarterbacks 100% being taken within the first 3 picks of the first round. So I do appreciate you again, my guy, for giving me another donation. I appreciate you for supporting me and the channel, and of course for being here. Again, y'all, I do got some food. The boy is not eating all day, except I did go to went to my concussion specialist today. Your boy's still dealing with that concussion. You're a real one if you remember me posting about getting in a car accident and having this concussion like over a year ago, and your boy's still dealing with it. Ugh, it's the worst. So we do have a good question here that I'm going to put up. So Blake asked me, what do I think of Kellen Mond? You said, I think he's all right, especially after his pro day. If you fix his mechanics, he could be good for sure. But like, I agree. So if they don't land a top 5 quarterback, I'm not really interested in taking one. That, to me personally, this isn't a terrible draft class all around. I would say it's better than next year's for sure, which is why I think if you want to grab your quarterback, you have to do it right now if you're the Patriots, because next year you're not going to have a better pick than 15, and it's not a great quarterback draft class. But I just don't see any of these guys outside of the top 5 becoming any franchise quarterbacks. I think they could be good quarterbacks, some of them for sure, don't get me wrong, but I think the Patriots need that next guy who's going to be the franchise guy and not someone like average who, you know, maybe he can get the job done for you, but in a few years, you'll need another answer at quarterback. So I like Kellen Mond. I think that like you said, he has some really good mechanics and things that he can get situated and kind of figured out with the Patriots. He's shown some good things, but he also kind of, for me, has a lot of question marks. Also, like you said, he's someone that I think would need at least 2 years, under the system to figure things out, kind of get those mechanics straightened out. But I have him as, I believe, the 6th best quarterback. So that would be after your top 5. You know, we all know who the top 5 is, so I don't have to kind of name them off at this point. But after the top 5 is kind of when Kellen Mond comes to mind for me. Jamie Newman, I believe, is probably number 6 or 7, or not 6 or 7, but number 7 or 8, because I have Mond at number 6. At least if we're talking about guys I would like to see the Patriots maybe go after. But like I said, if you look at the past history with quarterbacks, guys who haven't been taken in the first round don't really pan out to be much. It's not like the NFL was a few years ago with like Drew Brees, who I believe wasn't taken in the first round, but like Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, all of these really good quarterbacks who you didn't have to take in the first round, you could get in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, and these guys could still be franchise quarterbacks. We've seen in the past few years that if you want your quarterback, he's in the first round and you have to trade up to get him. So with that being said, I just don't think that that's the answer for the Patriots. I think one of those top 5 guys the Patriots could build nicely around. But after that, it kind of drops off to where you're like, you have potential, but are you enough to get the job done? So I like Kellen Mond. I wouldn't hate the addition. Personally, the highest I would select him would be the 3rd to 4th round. You know, I'm not selecting him in the 1st or the 2nd. So, all right. We got another donation here. I want to give a shout out to Patriots fan. Nothing said, but you did still give a donation. So want to give you a big shout out. I really appreciate you for, going that extra mile, supporting me and the channel. I really appreciate you for being here. And again, giving me that donation. I really do appreciate that. Whoops. We also did get another donation here from Tassar Bamba. I believe I said that right. You said reasons to not trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, let's see what you got to say. Number 1, he's fragile. Very true. Number 2, expensive contract. Also true. Number 3, grown man who goes by Jimmy. Number 4, too much draft capital. Okay, yeah, number 3 was the best one. Well, look, I agree. He's too fragile. He's too expensive on that contract, and you're going to have to give up draft capital. It's not even for me like, oh, it's too much draft capital. For me, it's you have to give up draft capital at all to acquire a guy who plays 6 games maximum and is taking, over $20 million a year on his contract. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested one bit. So, Baba, you hit the nail on the head right there with that one. I totally agree with you. Again, I'd like to see Jimmy maybe in here in a quarterback battle in a sense of if he gets released, the Patriots can pick him up on a 1-year deal, very, very minimal contract, and he's not guaranteed this starting job. They can cut him without any dead money if things don't work out well or whatever. It's the only way I bring him back. I'm not trading. I'm not trading one bit. I'm not even thinking about trading for Jimmy G. And that's from a business standpoint. I love him as a person. I would love to see him back in New England. But from a football business standpoint, it's not a smart move. It's not. Cam Newton's your better option at that point. No, we got some more donations here I want to get to. Patriots fan man with another donation. I appreciate that. It's your second one already. $2 donation. And you said, do I think that defensive tackle / DE is still in need? I do. It's a good question. It's a really good question because a lot of people think that the defensive line is over. And we've talked a lot about the defensive line before free agency hit and the Patriots went out. They got Matt Judon. They got Devon Godshaw. They got Henry Anderson, re-signed Dietrich Wise. They brought back Lawrence Guy. The Patriots are making nice moves on the D-line. They brought back Carl Davis, who, of course, isn't a roster spot. And if he does make the roster lock, and if he does make the roster, he's going to be a depth piece. But they did target the defensive line tremendously, which they said, a report said that the Patriots were going to do aggressively heading into free agency in the offseason, which they were very right about. But I do still think that it is a little bit of a need. I'd like to see the Patriots add another body at defensive tackle. I wanted Danny Shelton back. I think that was the nail in the coffin right there. That would have been the nail in the coffin. You bring back Danny Shelton. I don't really think you got to do much more. A big body in the interior that can help serve as a rotational, but also depth piece and a guy that you can rely on. I'm not too confident in Devon Godshaw playing a full season. And again, if he goes down, you need another guy to kind of go in there and plug in the middle, a guy can make the difference and you can rely on. But what happens worst case scenario if, Lawrence Guy and Devon Godshaw, which let's knock on one that doesn't happen, but both are down, where do you go at that point, right? So I think that if they added one more body, that would be a tremendous move by the Pats. But there's no one kind of on free agency right now that I'm too upbeat about. I mean, Jarrell Casey, I guess at this point would be the best guy in my opinion. But there's no one too well at the defensive tackle position there. So I think that they should draft the guy there at defensive tackle, an interior defensive lineman. I think that'd be a really, really good move. There's really no one in the first round that I think that they should target. So honestly, you start looking at those guys in the second round. It is not a great defensive line class here, especially at defensive tackle. So, the few guys that they're going to get, you start looking at those guys in like the second round. But you're going to have to potentially trade up because like I said, these guys are looking better at defensive tackle and defensive end because it's not a big market on the D line. Defensive end, I wouldn't mind seeing them make another addition, but I do think they're pretty well there. To be honest, it's more so the interior of the D-line that I'd like to see them make more of a move, just because you have Dante Hightower, Kyle Van Noy coming back. You have Henry Anderson, who plays on the edge sometimes, also plays in the interior. So we'll just kind of have to see with that. You have Dietrich Wise's depth, who can play on the edge. You have Chase Winovich, Josh Uche. So I think for the most part, they're pretty good at the defensive position, but wouldn't hate to see them make an addition, maybe like someone of a Ryan Kerrigan. Wouldn't hate to see an addition like that. We did get another donation here from okay. Let's try stuff for you M9L4 and yeah, I don't exactly know how to say that, or if you have like a full-on name or whatever. But I do see you in the comments, actually. I've seen you in the comments on videos before, so I do appreciate you for being an active subscriber, commenting and whatnot, and being a consistent follower too. I really, really appreciate that. And thank you for the donation again, and believing in me and following me and just going that extra mile. It means a lot to me, truly. But let's see what else we got. See a comment. What is a conversation starter? Let's get into that. I'm gonna look for a good one here. All right. Let's look at this one. If Belichick does not move up, so this is not Belichick moving up. Sounds like we're going to stay at 15. So if Belichick doesn't move up in this year's draft to get a quarterback, who do you think he'll pick at 15? And who would you take if the choice was mine? So knowing Belichick, if we're at 15, no quarterback is there, we're not taking a quarterback, we're not moving up. Knowing Belichick, he goes offensive line, right? He goes a Christian Darrisaw or something. That's just your classic Belichick move. Honestly, too, would it surprise any of us to see Belichick like move back in the draft and compile some more draft picks for the future and whatnot? It wouldn't surprise any of us. I think it just kind of depends on who's there on the board. I've heard of Micah Parsons a lot. I don't think linebacker is too much of a need, but maybe for the future they pick him up. So that wouldn't surprise me to see Belichick go like with an offensive lineman, just because I think O-line is more important than people realize. Isaiah Wynn can't stay healthy. He's in contract year. Trent Brown, yeah, he's back, but he's only on a one-year contract. Also, he could potentially leave, and that's your two starting offensive tackles, both at right and left. So it's not out of the question at all. Not out of the question at all for the Patriots to select one of these offensive linemen in the first round. I think it's a really good offensive lineman draft class, but Belichick sees one of these starting caliber future Pro Bowl offensive tackles that he can get at 15 and he doesn't grab a quarterback. I definitely think that that's a route that they could go. I wouldn't hate it, but if the pick was mine, where would I go? It's a great question. It depends on who's on the board. If Patrick Surtain is there, which there's no way he's going to be there, but if somehow he was, I'm grabbing him. I think about J.C. Horn. I'm not sold on him completely, but I'd think about it. I know I said that I wasn't too big on receivers, and I'm still not in the first. But for me, if if Waddle is there at 15, and again, we're not getting a quarterback, I'm going to take Waddle. I really like Waddle. I think that he would add something that New England needs. He is a guy who is really fast, but he doesn't just use that speed as a threat, if you know what I'm saying. He also can help in the short to intermediate routes. Also, the Patriots can do end arounds. They can do jet sweeps with him, but he's a super fast guy, really good hands, really competitive, who can get down the field super fast, be a downfield threat. If they're going to roll with Cam Newton for this year, maybe the future too, next couple of years, next season, whatever. He's a guy who excels mostly in the deep ball range. He likes to force the ball down the field, throw deep balls. And so I think that, that's someone they could add. Right now, your fastest guy is Nelson Agholor, right? You don't have your Damiere Byrd, your Brandon Cooks. I think if you have a Nelson Agholor and you bring in a Waddle, I think that'd be a really nice complementary piece. In the end, what is the biggest thing that kills in the NFL? Speed. And that's at any position. It doesn't matter if you're quarterback, O-line, receiver, tight end, defensive lineman, linebacker, corner, safety, special teamer. If you have that speed, you win because speed kills. And, Jalen Waddle, he has that speed. So, honestly, at 15, if he was still there, that's a guy that I would definitely consider. But in the end, it all just kind of depends for me on who falls to 15. But, I would like to see Waddle in a New England Patriots uni, that's for sure. So I saw this comment a couple of times. Trade Shaq Mason. No, you don't trade Shaq Mason. I was going to make a video on this like a few weeks ago, and then I thought about it, and I was like, no. Because I was thinking Joe Thuney or Shaq Mason. Believe it or not, Shaq Mason is actually younger, and he is now making less than Joe Thuney. So it just makes more sense to keep Shaq Mason over Joe Thuney. Now Joe Thuney left. You don't get rid of your right guard. You just don't. Like, there's nothing more I should even have to say about it other than you just don't get rid of him because, one, you just lost your left guard, Joe Thuney. And two, you don't want to, have more problems on your O-line. There's no sense in trading Shaq Mason. The Patriots don't really need more draft capital. If they can pick it up, for sure, it's great. But you don't trade Shaq Mason. You don't need to do it. So why do it? It's kind of one of those situations. And I think it just hurts the Patriots if they do it. So it's not even a question, honestly. Jimmy G or Gardner Minshew and a rookie quarterback. Anything else will be another losing season. Yeah, I'm gonna very much disagree with that. Jimmy G, he's made of glass. We went over that. If Jimmy G comes in, then you're gonna be starting Jared Stidham then most of the season because Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be injured. I like Gardner Minshew. I wouldn't hate seeing the addition of Gardner Minshew. Kind of like a quarterback battle. I said this multiple times. I would love to see a quarterback battle in training camp. I just think it'd be really good for the Pats and Cam Newton, especially if they're looking to really have a nice and productive and winning 2021 season. But I don't think that he comes in and makes the world of difference compared to Cam Newton. And as for a rookie quarterback, if a rookie quarterback comes in, you don't start him week one. The soonest you start him is the second half of the season. You don't throw him in week one. You don't throw him in week two. You don't throw him in week three. It's not a smart move. And this is something I've always thought is that you don't just throw a quarterback into the fire. You let him get comfortable in the system. You let him get comfortable in the NFL. You make that transition. You don't throw them out into the water and potentially hurt their development, right? And that's something I think Belichick also believes in. So if they draft a quarterback, I don't expect them to play this season unless Newton gets injured. I don't believe that this will be another losing season with Cam Newton at quarterback. Let's look at all of the factors that went into this. And I don't have the exact numbers. I did save it, so I will be posting on my Instagram later. But Cam Newton before the virus, because we can't use the word here on YouTube, because YouTube does not like that. But before the virus happened, Newton was putting up really, really good numbers, completion wise. Even touchdown to interception ratio was pretty good. And then after the virus, and he came back and he was just terrible. After the virus occurred, he came back and he was just horrendous. And that's when everything kind of dropped for the Pats. But with an upgraded defense, with another offseason for Cam Newton, actually with the Patriots, OTAs, mini camp, training camp, hopefully a preseason, I expect much, much better things, especially with, of course, a 100% revamped receiving core at wide receiver and tight end. I'm expecting much better things offensively for sure. And then defensively, a top 5 defense in the league, easily, hands down. So this is not another losing season. I promise you that. Bringing in Jimmy G or Gardner Minshew doesn't make this team a Super Bowl contender at all. I think Cam Newton truly is your best option right now. All right. Find another comment. Oh, shoot. Looks like y'all need a drink. Woo. Real quick, though, I want to give my boy Cam a shout out for the donation. Cam the man. You're another longtime subscriber. I see you commenting on my videos all the time too, my man. So, I see you. And I appreciate you for the donation. I appreciate you for being here. You didn't say anything, which is completely okay. If there's anything else I can answer for you, of course, do let me know. But, I do appreciate your donation. I do appreciate you for being here. So, shout out to you, Cam. Felt like there was something I wanted to say. I feel like content lately has kind of hit a little bit of a down slope, just because we're kind of having questions on what to talk about. I do have mock drafts coming out soon, but mock drafts do take time. They do take time, believe it or not. They take a lot of thought, especially because I try to think realistically, right? I will say I do have a video coming out on some free agents that the Patriots could still sign. I do still want to talk about kind of the Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry mix and kind of like the differences in how the Patriots can use both of them still. I know you guys really, really like the idea of me talking about that when I mentioned it. So that will still be coming out. I do just kind of want to get more information on both of them and really kind of clearly contrast both of them for you guys. But I see you guys talking about the Shaq Mason and trading him. Somebody said here, S27, that we got to trade Shaq Mason for a higher pick at 4. You don't need to trade Shaq Mason at all, honestly. If the Patriots want to trade up to 4, they can do it with draft capital. They have players they could trade. I wouldn't put Shaq Mason or any of these starting O linemen into that question at all. And I don't think Belichick will either. But I honestly think the Pats can get it done with just trading draft picks. It's going to be higher draft picks for sure. You're looking at this year's first, next year's first, most likely, and then another like late round draft pick probably. But yeah, no, I don't think you have to trade Shaq Mason at all, especially to trade up to 4. So I was just thinking about this the other day, which is why I kind of want to talk about it. So we got a question here, as you guys can see, saying, what do I think about Terez Hall? So I know Belichick has loved Terez Hall ever since he joined. And I do believe, if I'm thinking correctly, Terez Hall was an undrafted signing, if I'm thinking correctly. And he's someone that was kind of just kept around for a while. Belichick loves him. We've heard that since he was brought into New England, him potentially being a surprise guy who makes the roster. It didn't happen. It took some time for him to make the roster. But this year it happened for him. It happened a little later on in the season. The Patriots were dealing with a lot a lot of question marks, a lot of injuries and concerns at linebacker, which really that's why Terez Hall was thrusted into that position, into that starting position at linebacker. And he was even given a chance was because the Patriots didn't have any depth there. And he instantly became like their number 2 linebacker next to Juwan Bentley, right? And it's interesting because he got that look over like a Cash Maluia, right? Or even some other guys. So it kind of just goes to show how high Belichick is on Terez Hall. I like him. I think that he's a good run stopper. I think he's a really good and nice tackler, a hard hitter, and I like that. Nothing too special, though. Especially this season, he isn't going to be a number 1, number 2, and probably not even your number 3 linebacker just because we added so much depth there. You have Matt Judon, you have Hightower, you have Kyle Van Noy, you have Bentley, Uche, Jennings. Like, it's going to be hard for him to make the roster, but the experience for the years of experience in the Patriots system, but also having experience as a starter this past season is going to help him out a little bit. But if he somehow makes this roster, he's not going to be your number 1, number 2, and likely not even your number 3 guy. So he's not going to get too much time, but he was thrusted into that like starting role and was pushed into a starting role that really he shouldn't have been in. He was just in it because of lack of depth and injuries. But he's not a number 1 or number 2 guy. But the only reason he was put in that position was because of just the lack of linebacker depth. But I do like him, and I know Belichick likes him also. So Brandon Flores, another longtime subscriber and commenter, man. You said, bro, you changed again. So for those of you who don't know, Brandon, he comments on some videos and some of the live streams here. And I don't think you're the only one who said this, but you guys feel that every time I come on a live stream or I like do a face video, that I always look different. You guys think that I change every single time I come on. It's really funny. It's really funny. I don't think I'm doing anything different. Other than, I'm just going to begin a shower later. That's about it. Like, I don't know. You tell me what looks different. Hold up. Okay, there it is. Now, Red Sox is out here. Another long-time subscriber. Yo, the OGs are showing out tonight. Love to see it. Love to see it. Now, my boy Red Sox, another long-time subscriber, commenter, most importantly, supporter, man. You're another guy who's just constantly out here supporting me, on the videos, especially in these live streams. So huge shout out to you. I really do appreciate it. You said the Pats should sign Alshon Jeffrey. Super interesting. Super interesting. I actually never thought about it. I do know this. I do know that Belichick likes Alshon Jeffrey. Belichick tried to sign Alshon Jeffrey before the Eagles, and there were even rumors swirling around about the Patriots trading for Alshon Jeffrey with the Eagles a couple years back. So we do know that Belichick does like Alshon. My only concern with Alshon Jeffrey is the age and the drops. He's not the guy he used to be. He's not a number 1 guy. I don't think he's even a number 2 guy at this point. I think if he joins the Patriots at 3 would kind of be the best that he comes in. But he'd be fighting with Kendrick Bourne for that spot. And I don't know. I might give that to Kendrick Bourne, but we'll have to see. But a good veteran aspect, good veteran leader. I wouldn't hate it. What I would like to see if the Patriots had any correlation to Alshon Jeffrey would be a camp body. Bring him in as one of your veteran additions at the wide receiver position. Bring him in for camp. See what he has. See if he stays healthy. If he surprises us and he can flash and make an impact, then you keep him on the roster. But if he doesn't, then okay, he's gone. Kind of like a Jordan Matthews, a Eric Decker, that type of move. You bring him in for the offseason and training camp, see what he got, see if he can make a difference. And if he does, you keep him. If he doesn't, you just let him go. So that's something that I would like to see. I don't think Alshon Jeffrey is anything like he used to be, but I do still think he has something left in the tank. And as long as he's not a number 1 and number 2 guy, I still think he can make an impact. But he's not someone that I signed to a long-term deal and I go, all right, you're going to be our number 1, number 2 guy. Here's a huge contract. You know, he's not at that point in his career anymore. But again, as a camp body, as a 1-year prove it, let's see what you got. Welcome to the Patriots training camp. I wouldn't mind that at all. I do still think the Patriots should add another wide receiver to the receiver core. And another longtime supporter here since what, Mr. Automotive? You've been here since 1K, I think, maybe even less than 1K. So, man, Mr. Automotive has been here from like the start, like the start. Always a longtime supporter. I know that you bought some merch earlier on, so I do want to thank you, of course. And I know that you did like the new merch. Of course, for those who don't know, we do have some new merch. So that's pretty cool. But you said, what's up, man? Let's go. I love the energy. I love the energy Mr. Automotive brings in. I appreciate you for the huge donation. You are always showing out, my man. You always show out. You always support me, and it's always big energy. I love it. I love it. And Mr. Automotive is actually not too far located from me. Not too far, which is pretty cool. So I think you were at the Eagles game when I was at the Eagles game, but we didn't actually end up meeting up, which sucks. But hey, never say never. There's always more time for that. But I do appreciate you, man, for that big donation and you for being here, of course. But like always, too, guys, like I mentioned, if you do want to become a Patreon member, which I will pull up here for you guys, if you guys do want to become a Patreon member, you are more than welcome to do so. It's not forced at all, but you are welcome to do so. Like always, there's links in every single one of the videos I post, so you guys can check that out under how to support the channel and then Patreon. You guys can see that you get exclusive content. You get access to Discord with other Pats fans and Patreon member-only live streams. We haven't done one of those yet, but I do want to at some point. I just want to have enough people to do it. Like, obviously, you don't want to have a live stream and have one person there. At that point, you just have a FaceTime call or something. So if you guys do want to be a Patreon member, of course, not forced at all. Just if you guys are interested in it, you're always welcome to. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Looks like we got... Looks like we got another donation here from Felipe. Love that name. All right, Felipe, you said, what do you think about possibly getting Devontae Smith? Interesting. Devontae Smith. There's some wide receivers who might be available by 15 or moving up. Felipe, I agree with you. I very much agree with you. So 3 top wide receivers: Smith, Chase, Waddle. Potentially 5 quarterbacks are going to be taken before 15, right? So say 5 quarterbacks get taken before 15. Say 2 receivers, just 2 wide receivers got taken before 15. You're already looking at, what, 7 picks leading up to 15? And then 8, because obviously Kyle, oh my God, freaking Kyle Pitts. I don't know, I draw a blank there for a second, but Kyle Pitts would obviously be gone too. So I think that it's very, very likely the Patriots will face one of these top 3 wide receivers come 15 if they're still there. I think if they do want to get Devontae Smith, they will have to trade up. That I will say. I, again, do think one of these top 3 receivers could fall to 15. It will likely only be one of them. But I think Devontae Smith, because he's viewed as the number one guy. And of course, with the receivers, I've learned every single year in the draft, it kind of goes back and forth. It's always kind of speculation and opinion, but those are easily the top three guys. But I think Devontae Smith is the first to second wide receiver taken off the board. So I do think that he won't be there. I do like Devontae Smith. He's not my favorite. I would say he's probably number two for me. Devontae Smith is probably my second favorite wide receiver, with Waddle being my number one and then Chase being my number three favorite receiver there. So for me, if we're going to talk about what receiver I'd like to see at 15, I definitely would like to see Waddle if they took any guy, but I wouldn't hate to see Devontae Smith. I think that he'd be a good addition also. But, I think that a guy who could fit the scheme and just make the biggest impact would be Waddle. But I do want to thank you, Felipe, for commenting, being here, and giving a big donation. Really appreciate you, really support you. And again, love that name. My boy Neil Ray said, shout out to Mr. Automotive. Yes, big shout out to Mr. Automotive. Yo, do I have tissues, y'all? Because I got to blow my nose. How did I not? I got to keep tissues back here. 1 second, yo. My box is right there. Woo. Alrighty, there we go. Much better. All right, what else we got going here? Not me drinking out of a whole gallon iced tea bottle. All right, Ryan here. I've seen a couple people ask about this, so I will address it. You said, can someone please ask about JC Jackson? So for those who don't really know what's going on with JC Jackson, I'll give a little bit of an update. The Patriots did tender him. I did make a video on this. If you do, sorry, my dog's right there, guys. But they did tender him. I did make a video on this. If you do guys want to check that out, get some more information. But they placed a second round tender on him. We all thought it would be a first if they did get a tender on him. It sounded like they were going to tender him if they didn't get a long-term deal done, which of course they did not. So they did place a second round. Oh my God, Chase. But they did place a second round tender on him. That basically means that they currently have the rights to him. He has not signed that tender yet. Big thing to note there. So he does still have to sign it. Hasn't done so yet. I do expect him to do so. But what this tender means is that any team can still offer a contract to JC Jackson. The thing here is that the Patriots can match any offer. It can kind of be like this bidding war or whatnot, right? So the Patriots can match any offer and still get him back. Or the Patriots can not match that offer. JC Jackson would then go to that team, but that team would have to give the Patriots a second round pick in return. JC Jackson's a great player. It's not out of the question that, some team would offer it and then the Patriots would grab a second round pick. I think that he ends up staying, but that definitely is not out of the question. But basically, that's your update on JC Jackson. If he does sign that tender and plays with the team under the 2021 season, under that second round tender, he'd be only about $4 million as a cap hit for the Pats, which is really nothing for what you're getting for him. Hopefully they can get a long-term deal done with him. It really does worry me with JC Jackson and Stephon Gilmore only being under one-year contracts and both being in contract year. At the end of this season, if they don't get a long-term deal done with JC Jackson, he will be an unrestricted free agent, which means he'll hit free agency and can do anything that he wants, which could very well mean that he's out of New England if they don't get a long-term deal done ASAP. So it's a little update there on JC Jackson. So Neil Ray did ask a good question. Do you think that we will release some guys and do an extension with Gilly? That's been a big question with everyone, right? Gilmore did just come out and say, hey, I'm actually willing to have a contract extension with New England. He said that he would love to stay in New England. And I'm sure with the recent aggressiveness of Bill Belichick on the roster that he's like, oh, okay, yeah, it looks like they're going to be contenders and winners again. I'd like to stay here. Seemed like he was already out the door, packed his bags. Now he's like, maybe not. So we'll have to see if the Patriots want to get an extension done. I think that they have concerns, just like any other team does, with wanting to trade for Gilmore, which is that he's older. Is he going to come back the same after these injuries? So could they get an extension done? For sure. But it's something that I wouldn't expect to happen till later, maybe not even till like during the season, or at least like training camp or the offseason, when we can see more of Gilmore and we can see how he kind of comes back from this injury. But it's expected that he's going to return perfectly fine and ready for these offseason programs, which, if he's able to do so, is an amazing, amazing sign for his health and whatnot. So I do think we will release some guys. Roster moves are not yet done. Again, we do still have about 10 roster spots. I do expect Belichick to fill that up, of course, before training camp and whatnot. I don't expect all of those 10 draft picks we currently have to be rookies. So I do still think some free agents, maybe some possible trades will happen. But, you'll still continue to see guys released and not released and whatnot. But for the most part, that's, I think, going to happen as we get closer to the offseason and training camp. And then right before the regular season, of course, you have your 53-man roster cutdowns, and that's when you just go berserk. That's when all these cuts are going to start happening, and you'll see some surprising stuff, which, of course, I will cover everything. I will say, though, quickly that I do hope that they figure something out with the cornerback position. I think if they lose Gilmore and J.C. Jackson all at once, our secondary is definitely going to have issues. You can't mask the loss of a 2 top tight end or 2 top corners in the league all at one time. So hopefully they can get something figured out. I know we got some donations I'm going to get to for you guys. I saw some people asking what kind of dog I got. I have a little Bichon Shih Tzu. I'll show you guys here in a second. Make sure I get to these. All right. Chi Beard. I believe I said that right. I want to thank you for your donation. I really appreciate that. You said, were you even born when Friends came out? Great content, man. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Unfortunately, I was not. I was not born when Friends originally and first came out. It would have been cool. I think it would have been really cool, though. This isn't football related, but I think it would have been really cool to kind of see Friends when it first came out, and then kind of how it developed. How I wonder how big it was back then, at the time, and when it first started off, compared to how it is now and how it developed throughout time. But that's one of my favorite TV shows. I love Friends. Friends is one of those things where I've watched every single episode at least 5 times. And it's you can just watch it and just have fun and relax. And it's not one of those shows where you're I've already watched this. I've already watched this. You can watch each episode so many times and just laugh and chill and just be so entertained. So I love Friends. I love that show so much. Next donation we got here from Jake O2 Cute. I really, really appreciate you for being here, and I appreciate your donation, my man. So you said Mac Jones is the future. Super interesting. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that as you are a Mac Jones supporter rather than a hater. I do like Mac Jones, of course. I wouldn't mind any of these top 5 quarterbacks. Me personally, call me crazy, and I will probably see myself on a meme after this, but I actually would rather see Mac Jones over a Trey Lance, just because for me, I want to have a quarterback who I can rely on in the passing game. This is a pass-first league, and Trey Lance looked good in his pro day, but keep in mind that's without pads and helmet and pressure. And Trey Lance is a guy who we have not seen a lot of in college, so there's a lot of question marks about him. And he's a guy who's always been more of a mobile quarterback, and accuracy has always been a question mark. Has a cannon arm, but has very questionable accuracy, which concerns me a lot. Just reminds me a lot of a Cam Newton. And is that something that people want when they're already complaining about it now? And I want a guy who can come in, make plays with his arm, and just be accurate. We signed a lot of these free agent tight ends and receivers, and we paid big money. And if you have a guy who can't throw the ball and can't throw it accurately, then like we just spend all this money on these guys for essentially no reason. So I do like Mac Jones also. We'll have to see if the Patriots do decide to draft him or whatnot. I know they do like him. I know that the 49ers really liked him, but with that third overall pick and how Justin Fields performed today, I don't see them taking Mac Jones. But I do think New England potentially has to still trade up if they want to get Mac Jones, but you know, you never know. We have to see how the board falls, but Mac Jones just continues to rise. Oh, sorry, guys. Mac Jones just continues to rise on draft boards, though, so I'd be surprised if he makes it to 15. Yo, Mr. Automotive back at it again, y'all. So if you didn't know Mr. Automotive before today, you know him now, and you can see what I'm talking about when I say this man is just a huge supporter of me in the channel, has been so for years. So Mr. Automotive is the bro, man. Hopefully me and you can link up at some point for sure, just because we are, you know, pretty close to each other. I always love having conversations with Mr. Automotive, you know, in the DMs and the chats and whatnot. So always appreciate you, bro. You said, give us your prediction for this upcoming 2021 season win-loss record. Thanks for the shout out. Let's go, my man. You deserve the shout out and much more. Wish I could do even more for you. I really do appreciate it, Mr. Automotive. Win-loss record. So I still have to get used to the whole like new records. Like I'm still thinking 12-4 when in reality it's going to be like 12-5. Let me see. We're going to go game by game. And then we'll go from there. Talk about which games I think they'll win and won't. I do expect me to kind of come out with a more accurate one when we see kind of how the draft goes and how players are performing within our system. Like what I mean by that is like training camp and whatnot. But as for right now, we're going to look at our home games. Buffalo, Browns. What if I could get this up somehow? Hold up. Maybe I can. I actually think I might be able to show this for you guys. So let me do that real quick. I want you guys to be able to see who we're facing here also. So I think, okay, yeah, I can get it up. But this one, oh no, this one does have Cowboys. Okay. All right, I'm gonna put it up on the screen for you guys so you guys can see. You guys can kind of follow along with me as I'm talking about it here. Okay, here we go. All right. So this is a look at our 2021 opponents. Of course, we don't know the order of this, so that is a very important aspect. I'm sorry, guys. But for home opponents, you can see that we have Buffalo, we have the Browns, we have the Cowboys, which was just added, which I'm very excited for, the Jags, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Jets, the Bucks, the Titans. So I do think that we will beat the Bills at least once. So I'm going to give us at least one win against the Bills for right now. So let's say the home game. The home game will be a win for us. I think the Browns will take a step back. I think that would be a win for New England also. I think that they will beat the Cowboys, the Jags, Dolphins. They always win one. The Saints, I think the Saints will take a step back also. I think it just depends on the quarterback play when it comes to the Saints, but I will say that I do think they will beat the Saints because I think the Saints will take a pretty big step back, especially with Drew Brees retiring and them being in like negative 80 cap space. So, you know, they're going to beat the Jets. I'm going to say they lose to the Bucks. I'll say they beat the Titans. I will say when we were looking at the away games, they will lose one, of course, to the Bills. They'll lose one to, I think they'll lose to the Colts. I think the Colts are a really good team. I think they'll lose to the Colts. They'll lose one against Miami because they always do. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I see the Patriots probably losing between 4 to 5 games. That's going to be my guess. 4 to 5 games, I think they lose. Very evident on how the quarterback plays. So most likely Cam Newton. I think it's going to be very evident on that. And can the team stay healthy? And kind of when do these games fall in line? So 4 to 5 games, I say we lose. So what would that record be at this point? What would that record be? So let me count these, because like I said, I'm still getting used to this whole like new record and whatnot. So I would have us winning maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games, 12 to 13 games. I think I have us winning. So yeah, that's my little quick dive into the Patriots and their who their record and whatnot, kind of breaking it down. Of course, I'll do this much more in depth when we kind of get some more in-depth analysis on how these guys are doing in post-draft. Mr. Automotive, my boy, I appreciate you like always for your donation. It means a lot to me. We'll definitely have to talk soon. Hit me up in the DMs. I know we got some more donees. Just gonna get to. Give me a second as your boy tries to do this in order. I'm gonna have to actually hop over on YouTube just to make sure I got it. All right, 1 sec. Let me hop over actually like to YouTube. All right. Okay, there we go. What the heck? Because we're actually gonna have to go with this. Oh, wait, I actually already answered that one. That's why. Okay, sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. Okay, so next donation here from MC Binks. That's a dope name. It's a dope name, not gonna lie. So, starting out with Hear Me Out. So, it sounds like this is gonna be an interesting take we got here, guys. So, MC Binks says, hear me out, but a trade up to 4 is the wave. Honestly, like I agree with you. I agree with you. So I'm gonna continue to hear you out, but as of right now, I agree with you. You said historically, us using first rounders every year has not been successful, but drafting one major pick followed by several years of late rounds is the move. I agree. I agree, and you're right. You know, I think a lot of people overvalue some of these draft picks, and that's something that the Rams have done. They just gave up 2 for Stafford, right? And we're all like, what the heck? But they're like, look, like it's first round picks. You know, you don't know what you're going to get with those. We'd rather have a guy we know what we're going to get. The Patriots, like you said, not too great in these higher rounds. Mid to late rounds is where they do their best work. So if they can trade up to 4, then for sure, if you're going to get your quarterback of the future and the guy who's going to make the difference, you do it. You do it, no questions asked. And it's worth, this year's first round and next year's first round. It's worth it. It's worth it if that's going to be your guy. So MC Binks, I agree with you completely. I think that, again, they should trade up to 4 if they want to get one of these quarterbacks. If they want to have an option at quarterback, that's the big thing. Again, 3 quarterbacks in Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, and Lawrence is all going to go top 3, right? And we know that there's several other teams that want quarterbacks. The Panthers, the Broncos, maybe the Falcons, maybe even the Falcons at 4, but I mean, probably not. I've heard more so wide receivers going there for them, and maybe even Kyle Pitts. But even several more teams that could jump the Patriots, even if they go to number 5 or later. So I think number 4, if they want to have an option at one of these last 2 quarterbacks, that's what they have to do. So I completely agree. Another donation. So, okay, so you said my name is Jose, and how you pronounce my username is stay out of my lane. Everyone gets confused. Okay, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. I'll give it to you. My man. I'll give it to you. So Jose, I do appreciate you for being in the chats again, your constant support. Happy that I actually get to know your name. Like I can put a name, with the username and the profile picture now. So I appreciate you for your support. I appreciate you for your donations, and stay out of my lane. I like that. Look, it's creative. It's creative. Let's see what else we got here. So y'all said you wanted to see my dog too. Don't think I forgot about that. Don't think I forgot. Another long-time viewer, my boy Clemson Carson is out here tonight. How you doing, Clemson? All right, so y'all wanted to see my dog. Let me show you guys. Chase, come here. All right, I'm gonna have to get him because he's being lazy. All right, y'all. So this is my dog. It's my dog Chase. I would have been here like a second sooner if he didn't run down the stairs when I tried to grab him. So this is Chase. If he cooperates. So now you guys saw him. Chase is actually usually here when I'm recording my videos. He's usually there on the couch. So if you guys ever hear like this sound or like scraping, that's Chase. That's Chase. Okay. Or you hear that sound. That's also him. Little behind the scenes news here. What the heck am I doing? Brent, buddy, what is going on? Glad to see you here. All right, let's see. So this is actually a question that I've gotten a few times, so I am going to address it here. So the question, of course, is, Colby, do you think if we aren't able to get a quarterback that we can trade up a little bit and get cornerback Patrick Surtain? Yes, possibly. The thing is that Patrick Surtain, they're saying, is going to be the first defensive player taken off the board and the first cornerback, obviously. With that being said, the first defensive player corner. Anyway, if that is the case, he could potentially go to the Falcons. the Lions. Like, there's so many teams Surtain could go to, so many teams that need cornerback help. So, I mean, look, the thing is that if the Patriots don't trade up to get a quarterback and they want to trade up to get Surtain, they potentially still have to trade up just as high as they would to get a quarterback. And the thing is, if you're going to have to trade up that much, you don't trade up that much to get a corner. You know what I'm saying? You know, you don't give up multiple first round picks and whatnot just to grab another corner, because I think there's other corners the team could get and could be useful within the system. So if Patrick Surtain drops to a certain point, then I'd be okay with trading up to grab him. But I'm not trading up and giving up the house just for a cornerback. That's my own personal opinion, and I am a big fan of Surtain, so that does say something. What's my opinion on Zach Wilson? So Zach Wilson is my favorite quarterback in this draft. If you guys have followed me for a while on Instagram or Twitter or even here on YouTube and you see my community posts, Zach Wilson's been my favorite guy. And I've wished for so long that the Patriots could somehow find a way to get Zach Wilson, but he just continued to rise on draft boards, and he'll be the second quarterback taken by the Jets here. It's pretty much set in stone from what I'm hearing. Anything could happen, but look, if he doesn't get selected second by the Jets, he's getting selected third by the Jets. 1 second, I'm getting a phone call. Hold up. But like I was saying, if Zach Wilson doesn't get selected by the Jets, he would get selected then by the 49ers. The 49ers actually want Zach Wilson, but obviously that's not going to happen if he gets taken by the Jets, which is likely to happen. I mean, that'd be great for us if he didn't. If the Jets didn't take Zach Wilson, that'd be great for us, not because we could get him, but because then the Patriots have 3 options at quarterback rather than 2 if they traded up to number 3. But I like Zach Wilson. I think that he is the second best quarterback in this draft, and he deserves to be, you know, with the praise he's getting. Great player. Really, really wish the Pats could have grabbed him, but it's just not going to happen. With that being said, S27, you are probably right. The Jets are going to probably keep Sam Darnold. I don't agree with that. Oh my God, 1 second. I'm sorry about that, y'all, but I don't agree with it. I don't agree with keeping Sam Darnold if you're the Jets. See, that's the sound I'm talking about. But I don't agree with keeping him and then selecting another quarterback just because what are you going to do? You selected Sam Darnold, I believe, 3rd overall just a couple of years ago. Now you're going to what? Make him the backup, right? Like, at that point, they've been hurting themselves because they had suitors for Sam Darnold, and the longer they wait, the amount that's going to go down. The amount that they can get in return for Sam Darnold is going to go down. The amount of suitors is going to continue to go down. And I think that they could get a decent amount for Sam Darnold right now. But again, teams aren't going to just sit around and wait in hopes that you'll finally let him go and trade him. You know, they're going to do their own thing. They're going to move on from that guy despite how much they want him. So I think it'd be a smart move for the Jets to trade Sam Darnold if they're going to take a quarterback 2nd overall. And if you are not going to trade Sam Darnold, then don't select a quarterback 2nd overall. You know, don't select him and build around Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold could be a really good quarterback. Do I think he's as good as Zach Wilson? No, but I do think that Sam Darnold could be a really good quarterback. He's just been in a very, very crappy situation down in New York. The head coach situation has continually switched since he joined the Jets organization and been drafted. They haven't really used him right. Obviously, they haven't been successful. The offense has been horrendous. They've barely gave their quarterback pressure, especially Sam Darnold. They haven't given him any real protection. On the offensive line, tight ends, receivers have been crappy. And that's coming from Patriots fans from what we've seen this past season. So they're not putting him in a position to succeed. And, he's not going to succeed. Or Zach Wilson, if they select him number 2 overall, isn't going to come in and succeed and do anything spectacular that changes this offense around if he is in the same situation that Sam Darnold is in. If you don't have an offensive line to keep you protected and you have no one to throw to, what are you expecting out of your quarterback? Build around Sam Darnold. Draft Kyle Pitts. Draft Devontae Smith, Waddle, Chase. Take the offensive lineman whose name for some reason is not in my head right now. It's like on the tip of my tongue. I just can't remember it. But you take him then. Build that offensive line you have. Him and Mekhi Becton would be a really good offensive tackle duo. Then you're protecting Sam Darnold also. Sam Darnold has always been a good quarterback, really good arm, accuracy, throw power, decision-making. But put him in a position where all that is now dropping because he's never been in a good position to succeed. So I don't agree with them doing that, and I think it's just hurting them because if you do want to draft Zach Wilson, then trade him and get something, out of him. Help build your team because you know what? At some point, you're going to end up trading Sam Darnold or releasing him, and you're not going to get as much as you could at this point. Another longtime viewer, McChicken Vlogs. Buddy, what is going on? Have not seen you in a while. I really appreciate you being here. We got one of my favorite comments of the entire stream. Patriots fan says, Nike and Chase. Now, that is the iconic duo. We've talked about a lot of iconic duos before. Tom Brady and Edelman, and Tom Brady and Wes Welker, Tom Brady and Gronk and Hernandez. But the ultimate duo would be Nike and Chase. I agree. Nothing gets better than that. See, we're getting some love for Chase. We're getting some love. This whole chat turned into love for Chase. It's like the Patriots global mascot. Look at all this. We love to see it. We love to see it. We love to see it. Truly a man's best friend. I cannot tell you how close I am with my dog. My dog literally is my best friend. Thoughts on a Stephon Gilmore extension? I know we touched on this a little bit, just a little bit ago. I would like to see a Stephon Gilmore extension depending on how healthy he is. We don't know as much as Bill Belichick and the Pats do, but I do still think despite how he played this past season, Stephon Gilmore is still one of the best in the league. Let's keep in mind that when Stephon Gilmore was Defensive Player of the Year in 2019, the Patriots had one of the best defenses. I think they had the best overall defense in the league. A big part of that was pressuring the quarterback and the defensive line. 2020, the Patriots defense and that defensive line especially took a huge step back. They could not pressure the quarterback. They could not get sacks. And of course, if you do not get pressure on the quarterback and your D-line is not good, that does take an effect on your secondary because they have to cover for longer and whatnot, So but I do believe that Stephon Gilmore, if he's with the Patriots, will take a much bigger leap as long as he's healthy in 2021 compared to 2020 with a much revamped defense, but especially pressuring the quarterback and a much better defensive line. I think he'll return to a closer 2020 version or 2019 version of him rather than a 2020 version of him. So, Lauren, you asked this, but a lot of people too have asked this, which is why I will address it. Can you go live on draft night? This is something that I did last year. You guys really liked it, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I will go live on draft night. The first rounds it's always so much fun, right? We can all have discussions whether the Patriots are in it or not. So I will go live for the first round for sure. I'll probably go live day 2, depending how like the Patriots kind of navigate things. And then depending on how things go, maybe we'll go for day 3, but for sure, day 1, likely day 2, but you guys can definitely expect me to go live on draft night like I did last year. All right. Love you, Snoopy. Are you referring to Chase McChicken Vlogs? He's actually gotten that before. I've heard people call Chase Snoopy and Brian from Family Guy. Another longtime supporter here, Viral Rookies. He said, hey, Colby, I love how a lot of us OGs in here. And is there any chance you go to the Pats versus Bucks game this year? I was so close to meeting you at the Pats Eagles game. So yeah, that's actually another pretty cool story here is that I didn't know Viral Rookies was going to be at the Eagles game in 2019. Yeah, 2019, I went to the Pats versus Eagles game. Viral Rookies ended up being there. We didn't know that was happening until afterwards. He hit me up and he was like, oh, you were there? Like, I was there too. So unfortunately, didn't get to meet him. Would have been really cool. Of course, I would love to meet all of you guys. So like, if I'm ever at a game and you're there too, let me know at training camp, whatever. Love to link up with you guys and meet you for sure. It'd be so much fun. But I do agree. Pretty cool how a lot of OGs are in here tonight. And I am trying to get tickets to the Bucks versus Patriots games. Now, Roger Goodell did come out, the commissioner of the NFL today, and say that they are looking and expecting to have stadiums full capacity. Very, very surprising, but full capacity again, which we haven't seen since before the virus for the 2021 season, which means that your boy is going to be trying to go to at least one game. And although Pats versus Bucks is going to be very expensive and probably the game of the NFL of the year, besides the Super Bowl, of course, I am going to be trying to get tickets. McChicken Vlog says, what's in the gallon jug? This is iced tea. This is iced tea. Your boy drinks iced tea 24/7. This is like my main drink. This and water. This and water. But I love iced tea. Love iced tea. Little fact about me. Still getting some love for Chase. Chase is literally just chilling right there. Nike and Chase are the best things since Randy Moss and Tom Brady. I can't argue with that. Can't argue. Greetings from Argentina. Wow. We have a lot of people watching from all over the world, which is insane. I mean, Mexico, Canada, the US, Australia, but Argentina, haven't heard that one. That's super, super cool. So greetings from PA. So McChicken Vlogs did just hit on a very good point in the secondary. He said that Bryant is a slot corner / free safety, good depth. I agree with you. So a lot of people were kind of asking me before if the Patriots got rid of Stephon Gilmore or JC Jackson or both, do I see Bryant stepping into one of those roles? And I don't. I do not see him stepping into that role because, one, he's not a number 1 or number 2 corner, but 2, that's not where he plays. He's not an outside cornerback. He's someone that plays at in the slot, like McChicken Vlog said, kind of like a Jonathan Jones role. He plays in the middle of the field. That's where he played in college. That's where he really excels. But we also saw him at the safety position this past year. That's where he had his interception against, I believe, the Rams. And that's where he made the most of his plays and where the Patriots really liked to use him. So that's kind of where, if they decide to keep him and he makes the roster, you will see him either at safety or at slot corner, not an outside cornerback. So doesn't really help us in that aspect of JC Jackson or Stephon Gilmore leaving. Dilly said, hey, Pats Global, do you know Kendrick Bourne has a YouTube channel? I do. I actually commented on it. I found that out just today or yesterday, and I watched some of his videos. Super cool. Super cool. I love the Patriots players that, have YouTube channels and whatnot. McChicken Vlog said closer with DPN than Kobe, both good channels. Yeah, I know DPN is a guy that goes live a lot, so I know that he gets more like interaction with his viewers and whatnot. I definitely would like to go live more. I do like interacting with you guys. Props to him for sure, though, for going live as much as he does. It's a lot. It's a lot of work for sure. But props to him and his crew for doing so. But yeah, McChicken Vlogs has been someone who's been here for a while too. So we've connected a bit here also. Dilly said, why do you think Bourne is a number 3 when he's a number 2 behind Aguilar? I just think that Bourne is a number 3 because we have Jacoby Myers. I think that Jacoby Myers being in the system for a while has that connection with Cam Newton. He will be your number 2 guy, and that's what pushes Bourne to number 3. If it wasn't for Jacoby, I think that Bourne is your number 2 guy for sure. But I think because of that kind of chemistry and that history with Jacoby already, that Bourne does get pushed down to number 3. So really interesting here, Malcolm Flex. You said, dude, I think that the Pats need to take Najee Harris at 15. Honestly, even though it's forbidden to take a running back, I see him as a blend of Damien and White. Forbidden to take a running back. So I like Najee Harris, but I'm not going to take him at 15. I think it's too high to take him at 15. I think it's not just because it's the Patriots, but too high in general to take Najee Harris at 15. I've also heard that he's kind of the second best running back. I've heard that. What's his name? Oh my God, y'all. Like my concussion has been so bad. Like I just can't sometimes words just escape my mind. So forgive me. Super simple name who I can't think of, but he's also a running back that I've heard people say he's probably going to go number 1. But I think 15 is too high to take a running back just because, you can get very decent running backs in free agency and the draft and whatnot. I do like Najee Harris. But yeah, I'm not selecting him at 15. But I am selecting a running back in this draft for sure. You'll have to check it out in my mock draft when it comes out, y'all. But I do have them selecting a running back, I believe in the third or fourth round. I can't remember which one I had it at, but a little sneak peek for you guys there at my mock draft coming up. So I do like Najee Harris. If it wasn't at 15, maybe we're talking about drafting him. But I'm just not a big fan of even drafting running backs in the first round unless they're generational, like a Ezekiel Elliott, a Saquon Barkley type of guy, which I don't think Najee Harris will be. Brandon Flores says, am I an OG? Yeah, man, you're an OG too. You're an OG. Greetings from Dubai. Wow. Really got y'all from all over the place. It's crazy. Greetings from the Netherlands. Greetings from South Dakota. Did the Patriots overpay for Aguilar and Bourne? Bourne, I don't think so. Aguilar, you can make the case for it. I think it all just depends on how he plays. If he plays out of his mind, no one's going to say you overpaid. But if he doesn't play well, then you're going to say, yeah, he overpaid. Do I like the Red Sox? So I don't really watch too much baseball, really too much outside of football, just because football football is obviously my job here, and I want it to be my future. So I hit on every T when it comes to the National Football League. So I'm usually pretty busy with sports, even when the season's over. But I do watch from time to time, but I do support all Boston sports. I do support them no matter what. Keep up the good work, man. I really, really, really appreciate that and the support. Thank you for being here. I do want to hit on this one real quick. Zach Fisher, you asked, would I trade to number 4? And if I would, do I prefer Mac, Trey, Lance, or Fields? Good question. I would trade to number 4 without a doubt. I think that if the Patriots do trade up, they have to trade to number 4. I think it's the smartest move. If you trade to number 5, you risk someone jumping you, and then you have one option at quarterback potentially. So, yeah, you trade to number 4 as long as the Falcons are willing to do so. If I would I prefer Mac, Lance, or Fields? At number 4, if Fields is there, I take Fields. And then Trey Lance or Mac, I think it's super controversial just because some people have opinions on Trey and some people have opinions on Mac. So, you're going to make some people happy and some people pissed. But in my opinion, I'd probably roll with Mac. Look, he doesn't have the athletic upside that Trey does, and I agree. Trey Lance, his pro day looked really, really good, but at the same time, didn't have pads, didn't have helmet, was not under pressure. So you can't really get true definition on how he's going to perform. You have question marks on what he's going to be like because he hasn't played too much football in college. So you don't really know too much about what you're getting. I have concerns about his accuracy also. I think Mac Jones is just a really, really good fit with really good potential. And a really, really good pocket passing quarterback who is very, very accurate, which I really like. So it'd probably go Fields, Mac, and then Lance for me personally. Do also want to give a shout out here to TN Jose. Did I say that right? Yeah, TN Jose. For that $2 donation. Really appreciate you for the love and support. Do I have a 7-round Patriots mock draft? So currently I don't. I have been working on it for over a month on my mock draft and kind of just thoughts. So I will be doing, I think, about 2 mock drafts total, 2 to 3. We'll have to see how that pans out. But I do expect the first one to be out shortly. Travis Etienne, that was the running back. Yes, Travis Etienne. Lauren says your lives are the best. Lauren, I appreciate that. I do also appreciate you for all your support. You've been someone who comments all the time too. So it's awesome. It's awesome. Constant support. Really appreciate it, guys. Seriously. David Knott says Cam Man balling out this year. I think Cam's going to have a much better season in 2021 than 2020. I know a lot of people aren't super high on Cam. I'm not betting my whole life on Cam, but I do think that he will have a better year. I think that people don't really look too much into certain aspects of these players and what they go through that become outcomes. They just look at how they played and go, there's no excuse. They either say you did great or you did bad, and they look at the stats, when in reality, there's much more. Cam Newton came into the process very late, didn't have any weapons, of course, ended up having the virus just a couple of weeks into the season. And he didn't know the playbook. At the end of the season, he even said, I don't know the playbook. And I think that with another season under the belt, OTAs, minicamp, training camp, hopefully preseason, that he will get this playbook under his belt a lot better, build connection with these guys he's already doing. Just a whole real offseason under his belt with the Pats. Last season just didn't count. It wasn't a real offseason, and he got signed late into the process, coming into the hardest system in the NFL. So understand that. Greetings from the Bahamas. How about that? You guys really are coming from everywhere. Clemson says, I would take Mac over Fields. I'll probably get hated for this, but I see Fields being another bust. I've heard that before, so I do have some concerns about that with Fields. I've heard a lot of people saying that, experts are concerned with him being another Dwayne Haskins. I don't hate Mac Jones at all. So I wouldn't disagree with it. In the end, if a guy fits your system and you believe he will fit your system and he is your guy, you draft him. You take him at any cost. So, I believe in Bill Belichick and the Pats. Whatever move they make, I know that they'll, they have a future and an idea playing for him. But I'm going to end this one off today. We've been going live for almost an hour and 40 minutes. Crazy. We will be going live again. I do have some videos popping out for you guys. I know things have been a little bit slow, so it hasn't been too much to talk about, but I've been trying to get creative with some content. So hopefully some new stuff, can come out shortly. I do have something dropping probably tomorrow just because it's late. I don't want to drop something at like 1 a.m. So I'll probably have something dropping for you guys tomorrow. Hopefully can kind of get some new content up and can kind of get back into that flow of just releasing an insane amount of content. But I do want to say that I appreciate each of you guys for watching, each of you individually. It really, really means a lot to me. Everybody that donated, I really, really support you, or really, really appreciate you guys for your support. And I do want to, give a shout out to each and every single one of you guys just for what you've been doing over the last few weeks. We've been growing a lot. The view counts have been going up. It looks like you guys are watching the videos longer, and it means a lot to me. With the YouTube algorithm, the longer you guys watch the videos, the more you comment, you guys liking the videos, just these simple things helps me and the channel out tremendously. You guys sharing the videos. So, it really helps me out when you guys do this stuff. And it means a lot to me that you guys believe in me and you guys want to, see me succeed and take that next step forward. I did release merch for you guys for anyone who wants to, rock the channel, rock the Patriots Global channel. I did price it as low as I possibly could. So it's over on Teespring if you guys want to go ahead and check that out. I do appreciate you guys for watching this one, though. We will go live again. I'm sorry if I didn't answer your questions. Obviously, a lot of questions coming through. So, try to hit me up and come to the next live stream, comment on the videos, and I'll try to get back to you for sure. But I do appreciate you guys for watching. Like always on Patriots Global, and I'll catch you in the next one. I think I can end it right here.